Yes, guys, and welcome to the first video in a 4 or 5 part series in what I like to call the high converting sales machine. This is a completely free sales course, sales program, whatever you want to call it. We're going to cover exactly who this is for and why you may potentially be here, the things that we're going to cover, and then we're going to get straight into the action and make sure that you have something to implement straight away. Well, firstly, you're probably wondering why you should even listen to me in the first place. Well, I'm here to tell you that I've kind of been a lot of things in the fitness industry and in the sales or the closing industry, whatever you want to call it. I've been a gym owner, personal trainer, online coach. I did relatively decent at those, but I really came into the fold when closing became the opportunity. Now, I've closed well over 6 million in deals since then in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, ranging from multiple industries, multiple niches, as well as selling some of my own services and products during that time as well. Not quite 6 million on that just yet, unfortunately. What I want to teach you today is the strategies, the frameworks, the mindset, everything that I've learned that's been able to put me in a position where I can close at an incredibly high rate, but also develop that with the 6 and 7 figure sales teams that I help to develop, as well as the one-to-one clients that I help generate additional 5-figure jumps in revenue every single month. Now, the reason you are probably here is because you have a business, you are doing relatively well, but there's just something missing. You've been getting away with being able to sell purely on product and passion. You are your product, you have the passion, and you're able to almost personality your way through sales, and it feels good. But as your business grows and your audience gets colder or your audience gets wider, it becomes a lot more difficult to sell. There's a lot more warming up that you have to do prior to a sales call. Sales is something that you're always going to need to continuously develop your skills at because there's so many benefits to it. Now, my methodology when it comes to selling is that our job is to teach, coach, and guide people to make some form of a decision, whether that's them wanting to work with us or whether it's them realizing that now isn't a good time and they should just go do something else. But when it all comes down to it, what I'm going to do today and over the course of the next few videos is teach you how to close more deals, bank more cash, and actually have way more impact on the people who are sat across the call from you. So if that's something that you are looking to do, whether it be just close a few more deals, whether it be increase your conversion rate a little bit, whether you want to make 5-figure jumps in revenue in the next 30 days, listen to these videos, implement everything that you can as quickly as possible, and share the results with me. So let's dive into it. So the core philosophy then, the core philosophy when it comes to this framework, that is a combination of all of the people that I've learned from over time. So you've got names of like Sam Ovens, you've got Cole Gordon, and then you've obviously got Bill Walsh. I think Bill Walsh has probably had the biggest influence on me when it comes to selling out of everybody. And it's definitely the area where I've made the most money. But it's also the area where I've had the most prospects that I've sold to come to me and tell them how helpful that the call was. Even the ones that didn't buy always seem to come back and say how great the call was and how it's given them a lot to think about and a lot of things to do moving forward. At the end of the day, our role here is to help and have impact. If we can have impact, we are more likely to get a yes or a no. And you'll properly understand why as we dive further and further and deeper into these trainings, especially the training all around fear, because most things are wrapped up in fear. So this is going to be a general overview of the framework. So am I giving you a sales script? You could, in theory, just ask all of the questions that are here. But the skill is involved in the in-betweens, in between the lines, based on the responses that they give you. What are your next questions? What is the next thing that you will ask? One of the things that I will do is I will provide some sales call reviews that I've done for some of my clients in the description somewhere. I'll provide them somewhere. Maybe you'll get them in an email so that you can get some context as to what I mean by that. But the core philosophy here then is this phrase. So this is me just tooting my own horn again. Responsible over 6 million deals closed, but it's built on authority, leadership, and early objection identification, and helping prospects overcome fear to make decisions that positively impact their lives, regardless of whether they buy or not. And that's the key thing. Read that over and over and over again. That is the objective. At the end of the day, you cannot close everybody, and not everybody will buy, but it is a choice as to whether you want to have impact or not. And that's important. If you're a coach, you want to have impact. If you provide a service, you should want to provide impact. Otherwise, you're kind of in it for the wrong reasons, let's be honest. So the main aim is take your prospects on an emotional roller coaster that leads them to a clear decision point. Now, some people don't like the term or the indicator that we're going to be doing things with emotions and everything else, but listen, that's what brings people to want to purchase. Most people are trying to run away from pain rather than run towards pleasure. So the thing is, with a lot of the services and a lot of the people watching this video probably provide something that helps improve something in the prospect's life that isn't going the way that they want it to go. There's going to be emotions attached to that, and we've just got to be able to ask the right questions. Are we into this to manipulate people? Absolutely not. But as I said there, it's leadership and authority. So we are going to ask the questions to help them provide their own answers, which sounds like a very simple thing to say, but we are never going to put words in their mouth or assume what they mean. We're always going to make sure that they are the ones that explain to us exactly what they mean so that we can help. Leadership, authority, impact. They're the major sort of things that we're looking for. So let's dive into this then. So here are the 5 phases of a highly converting sales framework. Each phase is equally important, so don't think you can just half-arse or skip, because it is a process and there's a reason why we do it. So the first phase is the big goal plus the pain. Now, ignore the top of the mountain thing. That should be on the next one. The objective here is to identify their big outcome and the pain attached to not achieving it. So what a lot of people do is they kind of just ask, what are your biggest struggles? And then they just dive so deep and painful that it becomes a really difficult conversation and you end up stuck in a bit of a hole because you don't know where to go next. This is so early on in the call. They aren't necessarily going to just expose all of their deepest, darkest pains to you straight away. We've got to warm them up. Do you need to spend 10 minutes at the beginning of the call building rapport? No. That rapport should have been built prior to even ever getting on the call, through your content, through your conversations, through the qualifying process, through the way that you follow up to make sure that they're going to turn up to the call. That's where the rapport is built. That's where the trust is built. That's where the know, like, and trust is always built. It's never in the first 5 minutes of the call, because if you're trying to do it then, it's too late. They should already know as to whether they like you or not. They wouldn't have booked a call if they didn't think they liked you. Also, your role on the call is not to be liked. It's to become the person that your prospect needs you to become in order to help them make a decision. And that's something that I've said quite a lot already, but it's true. And I need you to drill it in, make it become muscle memory. So identify their big outcome and the pain attached to it. So and we'll go through some of the questions that we actually ask, but one of the first things that I always like to ask is, what exactly is it that you feel that you need help with? Or what is it that you specifically feel like you need help with? Not what's your biggest struggles, none of these sorts of things. I want them to be as specific as possible as to why they are here and what they feel that they need help with. And it allows me to just ask a few more follow-up questions. Nothing too crazy, nothing too deep. Because then I'm very quickly going to switch it to, well, with that being said, what is the big outcome? What exactly is it that you would love to achieve if that wasn't the problem? Or what is it that's stopping you from being able to achieve? What's the big goal? So straight away, we're just getting them to talk about the things that they do really, really want. People leave this too late and then they pitch off the back of excitement and it doesn't work, which we'll cover in a moment. Phase 2 is the brand new reality. So this is where we start to future pace. Sorry, I'm looking at a secondary screen over here, which is why you'll see me looking down. Build a vivid vision of life after or during achieving the goal. Again, it depends what it is, whether they're trying to lose weight, whether they're trying to grow a business, whether they're trying to build a relationship, like whatever, it doesn't matter. What is their life like now that they have achieved that goal? We're going to be talking as if they have achieved the goal. Now, one of the things that you'll recognize when you're in this point, as we come into the questions in a little bit, and again, you'll notice this from some of the call reviews that I'll link, is that for something like fitness, as an example, what would that do for you personally? You'll then start to get them providing you with negative answers. So whilst we're trying to build the positive, they'll give you negative. Or I'd be more confident and I wouldn't feel so stressed and I wouldn't hate the way that I look. Right, okay, I'm trying to get the positive here, but we'll talk about how we can flip that in a moment. So what people would typically do at this point right now is go from a future pace. They get some kind of tie down and commitment questions, like, how committed on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to achieving that goal? Oh, 10. Oh, amazing. And is this something you want to do now? Yeah, definitely. Right. Well, and then they'll get into a pitch. But the issue with that is you'll pitch the inevitable objections will jump out, will jump out at you on the call. And now you're having to handle the objections based on the cost of an action of not doing your program. That stinks like a sales pitch, and it feels like you're pushing me to buy your service and product. It doesn't sound like you're trying to help me. So what we want to do is build up the reality so high that we can now make it incredibly clear what the consequence of an action is. AKA, if you do nothing, if you don't do the things that require you to get to that position, what happens next? What's next? What does that look like to you? And this is what I like to call a reality crash, a reality check, a bit of a kick in the dick, whatever it might be. It should really hurt, and you should see a change in body language from being quite excited and their tone being up and them talking a little bit quicker and them being positive at the end of the sentence and all of these various different things. And then all of a sudden, they might not really want to look at you. They might get a little bit fidgety, a bit agitated, and that's cool. That's exactly what we're looking for, because it's becoming real for them. The more you get that, the more real it is becoming for the prospect, which is absolutely perfect. So we want to show them the cost of doing absolutely nothing for failing to act. And here's where we go into the prospect focus pitching, which again is training number 3 in this sequence. But we want to create a solution so specific that it feels custom made for them. Now, are we going to randomly make up things within the program based on what they want? No. But you're going to know your service, your program, your product inside out, that you don't need to write something up and repeat over and over and over again. You can set yourself up with particular bullet points or just phases of the program, and then fill in the gaps based on the conversation that you've been having with the prospect throughout the program, throughout the call. Because let's just take a really basic example. If you've got somebody let's say you're a fitness coach, online coach, you've got a transformation program, whatever, and they've come to you, and throughout the entire thing, they just keep telling you how well their training is, like they're training 4 or 5 times a week, like they've got that on lock, like it's just nutrition, blah, 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 blah. And then you spend 5 minutes of your pitch telling them how you're going to set them up with the training program. You're going to do all this. It's going to be real specific and blah, 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 blah. They don't care. They're not coming there for the training program. They're coming here because they've got issues with the nutrition and the overall result. So it's the result that we have to ingrain into what we're pitching to them. This is going to make way more sense when we get into that training. And then phase number 5, objection handling. Address concerns Address concerns efficiently while maintaining authority. So what I'm saying here is just don't roll over and die. The moment that you do that is where the problems arise. The likelihood is, like, you might be thinking, well, I don't want to be too pushy. I don't want to be too salesy. What does that even mean? You have a product to sell, so sell it. Now, the thing that happens here is most objections are wrapped up in fear. So we need to be able to understand how to overcome that, which is why in training 2, identifying fear early and helping to overcome that throughout the conversation makes it a lot easier, because you'll have a lot more, again, you're not going to like the term, but we'll have a lot more ammo to be able to help them overcome and get out of their own way. But again, listen, not everybody's going to buy, and that's totally fine. But you want to make sure that you go through each phase of the objection handling process in order that you've done everything that you possibly can to help them get out of their own way. Now, one of the major things that we're going to be doing with this, and the reason why it works so well, is because you may have heard of creating the gap or gap selling, whatever, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, people won't buy what they can't see. And as I mentioned before, people want to run away from pain rather than run towards pleasure. So we need to ensure that the gap that's created is so big that what it is that they think that they want to achieve feels miles away, but their pain feels incredibly close, because they're going to want to run away from that. You then just need to show that you are the vehicle that can get them from A to B. We come on to the call, and the prospect's pain here. Their goal and what they tell us is here. So that's the goal. This is where they're at when they're on the conversation with us at the very beginning of the call. What is it you feel like you need some help with specifically? They're at the red dot. Okay, cool. And what is the big outcome that you're looking for? It's where the green dot is. Now, our job throughout the process of the call is to not only push their goal over here when we're future pacing. So we're going to challenge what their goal is based on any beliefs or language. We're going to listen out for language patterns, behavioral patterns, any particular mindset issues or limiting beliefs or programming that they've kind of built within themselves over various things that they've told us. There'll be reasons why they think the way that they do, especially if we can hear fear. Maybe it's because, you know, they don't believe that they can achieve, like, let's say here is they want to make 5K per month because they don't believe they can make 10 because they've tried things in the past, it's not worked, or they don't know anybody that's ever achieved that, you know, whatever it might be. So we're going to challenge through authority, through leadership. We're going to challenge their status quo. We're going to listen out for particular language patterns and limiting beliefs and whatever it might be, until we can get them to the point where they can say, well, you know what, yeah, I'd love to make 10K per month, right? And if you had the right help in order to kind of do that, would you be confident enough that you could make that money? Is it the fact that right now you just don't believe that you, in your current situation, the person that you are today, can achieve that? No. Okay, cool. So we've stretched the gap. We've created a little bit of a gap. Now, what happens next is, as we dive back into the consequence, this is what should happen, is that the gap is currently this big, whatever you see on the screen. But as we hit the consequence, we want that line. I'm just going to keep it there. I would do it further to exaggerate, but we've got a limited space. We want to bring it here. The gap is now way, way bigger, massively bigger, because they do not want to be around here. The fact that actually what it means is they stay stuck. They get more of the same. They don't lose 10 kilos, or they, you know, their business they go out of business, or whatever it might be. So we've created that gap now that's so big. In order for them to get anywhere close to this, they've now got to come in their head. They've now got to come all that way instead of just this. So that's one thing that we've always got to look at when you're going through these questions. When you're looking at the in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, with whatever it is that they're telling you, is it enough of a needle mover for them to pay at least double what you charge? If it isn't, you've got a lot more work to do. So for example, if I've got somebody, let's say you're a fitness coach, and this person comes to me and says they want to lose £10, and you're charging £1,000 for 3 months. The big goal to lose £10, is that worth that money? No, absolutely not. But if you can then actually figure out during the conversation that they want to lose £10 because that's just the last place that they felt any good, and that was 10 years ago, and they've tried loads of things in the past, and all they keep doing is gaining weight, but actually they probably could do with losing 10 kilos. All of a sudden we're over here. That's actually what they'd love to do. It's just that they don't think that they can. And the consequence being that things are just going to continue to get worse because of the patterns of behavior, things that they do, the way that they do things previously. They try things, they dip their toe in, they lose a little bit of weight, and then they don't. They continue to feel like shit. They don't like the way that they look. They haven't been out in years. They don't go on holiday. You know, they're scared that the kids are also going to be overweight, that they look up to them, or the partner. But we're flying down here now. Now, is that worth more money to them to reach those goals, or is it just to lose £10? Or if someone comes to you, let's say you're in the space of helping people grow their business. Let's say somebody is making £3,000 a month and they want to make £5,000 a month, and you're charging £4,000 for your services. Is that enough of a jump? Is that enough of a needle mover to give for them to hand over £4,000 to me to make an extra £3,000 a month? You know, over the course of a year, yeah, absolutely. But is there going to be enough pain, enough of a needle mover in order to do that? It's a big chunk of money. It's a big risk in order to do that. Now, if it turns out that they actually want to make 10, they just don't believe that they can, they didn't even know that they could, or maybe they tried things in the past that didn't work, or whatever it might be. And actually the thing is that they've been stuck at this level for about 2 years, and things get more expensive. So technically they're making less money. Clients leave, you know, 2 clients come in, 2 clients leave, 2 clients come in, 2 clients leave. And they kind of feel like as if something doesn't happen soon, that they could just give it all up. Okay, now we're in this territory. Now the gap's massive. Now it's worth more to them to pay me the money to help them achieve that. Hopefully you have been enjoying that video so far, but I am going to cut it there. Make sure to join me in part 2, where we're going to break down the rest of this £6 million framework. Don't forget to check all the links in the description, grab some free stuff, head over to Instagram, but most importantly, join me for part 2.